Welcome to Jackie's Craft Table. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I have Spellbinders December Small Die of the Month kit here, and it is just adorable. It's called Daydreaming. You get 17 cutting dies, and it makes up this darling window. There are so many fun elements to this kit. I have all of the dies to the left, and I cut them all out with white cardstock just to give you an idea of what they look like. It cuts out these two windows, and you get 3 different sentiments: Dream Big, Wish Upon a Star, and Happy Together. It also makes up this adorable cat, and you get the moon and the clouds, and so many fun things to put these windows together. I had so much fun with this kit, I couldn't stop creating cards. So I'm going to create 3 cards for you today in this video. My first card is going to be a nighttime sky view from this window. I already cut out my windows, and I'm going to do some ink blending. I started with Victorian Velvet and then moved on to Seedless Preserves. My next color is Chipped Sapphire, and the last color is going to be Black Soot. And I'm just trying to get a smooth blend on these small rectangles. It was kind of difficult, but I really like how these colors turned out, blended together. I'm gluing 2 windows together just to give it a little bit of stability. And this will give it just a little bit of dimension as well. All of my cards today are going to be standard A2 sized cards. But you could really make some fun slimline cards with these. I'm going to have to give it a try, putting windows all the way up the slimline card. The sentiment on my first card is going to say, Wish Upon a Star. And I'm just backing that with some yellow cardstock. And now to put this little cat together, it comes with 2 different tails, and you can have them up or down or any way you'd like. But I'm just going to glue the tail on this cat down. I'm also going to do a little bit of ink blending over my cat. I'm going in with some black soot, and I'm just kind of pouncing over it. I'm going to leave the tip of his tail white. I'm just kind of protecting it with my finger there. I'm going to attach my windows onto a piece of dark gray cardstock. I'm attaching everything with liquid glue, and I got a little bit too much on behind this window, so I just kind of pounced it off on my piece of scrap paper there. Now for the bigger window frame. I could have used the same yellow cardstock behind my stars, but I decided to come in with some Distress Oxide called Squeezed Lemonade, and I'm going to color in the moon and some cardstock behind the stars with this ink. And now for the fun part. I'm going to first start with my yellow cardstock. Just putting a little bit of glue in the window panes and popping those inside. This was really fun to do. And since my window frames are already 2 layers, going to be perfectly flush with the window frames. For all of these windows and window frames that I'm creating in this video, I just used Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock. Now to pop in my last yellow window. And now for the really fun part. I'm putting the glue on the backs of these just because I don't want the glue oozing out into the stars. So here's my first one. This is my second attempt at creating this card. My first card turned out all right, but I just didn't match up the colors, trying to put the Chipped Sapphire with the Chipped Sapphire and the Seedless Preserve next to the Seedless Preserved. I think kind of flip-flopped it last time. I'm just going to put an acrylic block on top of that until it dries. I'm going to pull out a white gel pen and add a little highlight to the cat just along one side of its head and down the same side of its body. And now for the sentiment. I'll glue this under the window. Next, I'll put the cat in the window. I just love how this one turned out. It was so much fun to create. And then I'm going to attach this to my white card base with some liquid adhesive again. The last thing I'm going to do is add some gemstones, and these are pretty. They're from Spellbinders, and they have gold flakes in them. And here is a close-up look at my finished card. Isn't that so much fun? Such a clever set of dies. On card number 2, I'm going to do a bit of stenciling to begin with. I have this sun ray stencil from Spellbinders. I'm going to ink it up using some more of the squeezed lemonade. My next card is going to be a sunrise card behind these windows. I taped my stencil in place using some painter's tape, but you could, of course, use the pixie spray. I have some of that, but I think I still prefer just to use tape. Now I can pull that up and show you how cute that looks. Okay, my next step is going to be to die cut the windows out of this panel. I'm using a little bit more of the painter's tape. I lost my washi tape. It's somewhere buried under my desk. So this was the next best thing that I had. When I pop these out, I'm going to keep them in order. This way I can easily pop them back in the right direction. The window frame is going to be brown this time, and I'm just using some vintage photo to add color to this. I forgot to add another layer behind it. But that's okay, it turned out just fine. And look at these cute tree die cuts. I'm going to color them in quickly with some Copic markers. I'm just using one brown, and then for the leaves, I'm going to use a light green. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of a darker green to add some dimension. And this little touch of dark green just adds a lot. Okay, I'm going to glue this on to a piece of very pale blue cardstock. All 3 of my cards are going to have basically the same layout, just different colors of cardstock and different elements in the windows. And now to glue in the sun rays. But look how cute that looks behind these windows. I'm putting them in place before I glue them down just so I don't mix them up. I can do that very easily, I'm afraid. And now to put the trees in these windows. I'm going to cut the top one down just so it looks a little bit different. And I will have that so it's reaching up. I'm just putting little teeny tiny dots of glue behind this. I have to squeeze it in the window just so it doesn't look like it's coming through the window. I want it to definitely look like it's outside. And then my last little branch I'll put in the bottom window. There we go. So much fun. This window is going to have 2 cats sitting in it so that it matches up with my sentiment that says happy together. And I already glued them together. I'm going to color them in with some Copic markers. This one is going to be a little tabby cat, an orange tabby cat. And I'm even putting some stripes along its back and its head and tail. And then my second tabby cat is going to be gray. And I'm just working out where to put them in the windows. I'll glue in my gray cat first. My second little cat, I'll glue in the next window over. I didn't want to put him in front of the sun rising up. I'd like to be able to see that on the card. It was so cute. And I like how the tail on this cat is sticking up. My sentiment is going to be backed with more squeezed lemonade. And I'm just going to pop that under the first little cat's tail. And again, this card panel is a little bit smaller than my white card base, so it has a mat around it. And I'll glue this down with more liquid adhesive. I'll use some more of the same gold flecked gems in a different color on this panel. And here is the finished card. I love these two little tabby cats, so cute. And on to my last card. I'm starting out with a cloud stencil, and this card is going to be a cloudy, rainy day card. This is some oxide ink, and it's called Stormy Sky. I'm going to work my way down this piece of white cardstock. There are clouds in the middle of this stencil, so I kind of masked them off with some Post-it note tape, and so that's why the Post-it note tape is there. I'm putting the clouds kind of tightly together. And I love how this one turns out. It's so pretty. And then for my last layer, I'm going to add a little bit of Stormy Sky just at the bottom. I don't end up using this whole panel. I'm going to use the dies to cut it out. I found my washi tape, and I'm going to cut both of these window frames out from this panel. And again, I'm going to keep them on this piece of paper so that I don't mix them up. I'm using more Stormy Sky behind my sentiment. The sentiment is going to say, "Dream big." And I cut my sentiment as well as my windows out with some black cardstock. So let's put the sentiment together and glue the windows onto this piece of pink cardstock that I have here. It really helps to dab off the excess glue onto a piece of scrap paper. It saves me from having to dab it off with my fingers from the panel. And now for the second window. My sentiment's going to go at the bottom again. And now to glue in my cloudy sky behind this window. This die set came with little raindrops, so I am going to glue some raindrops in the sky. And I already went ahead and made up my last little cat. It's a white cat, and I used some gray Copic markers to shade it. I'm going to put some plants in the window this time. After this, I can start adhering all of my raindrops. I cut out quite a few with white cardstock and colored them in with a pale blue Copic marker. I'm just going to put little dots of glue in the window and start adhering these in. This took a little bit of time to adhere all of these raindrops in the windows, but it was totally worth it. I just love how it turned out. I wanted these raindrops to be a brighter color than the Stormy Sky Distress Oxide ink, just so they show up, and they showed up really nice and bright. I colored in these raindrops with a Copic marker. It was the B000. So let's put this card together. This time I'm using a black card base just to match the black window frames. I added some more of the gold flecked gemstones, and here it is all done. I'll have all of the links to these products listed below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye.